This video is sponsored by Heroes of History. Project Zomboid loves turning tiny details into real survival problems, and vehicles are almost there, but not quite. Because in vanilla, let's be honest, cars can feel kind of disposable. The engine starts dying, you just click repair engine, throw in some parts, and hope the number goes back up. If that fails, you just grab another car that isn't a total wreck. But this mod completely changes that. It doesn't just make cars harder, it makes them make sense. You're not just maintaining a percentage anymore, you're actually keeping a machine alive. You deal with oil, pistons, gaskets, real warning systems, and if you ignore them, the problems will snowball. And when you pair it with a few other mods, like realistic car physics, you get a proper vehicle overhaul, where driving feels heavier, riskier, but way more satisfying. So, the heart of this is Project Summer Car, which focuses on advanced car engine mechanics, and it features 18 simulated part types and 4 fluids that all matter for your car's performance. It supports swapping transmissions and torque converters between cars for different gear counts. There are sport and racing parts to upgrade your cars. It's also fully compatible with all existing car mods and can be added mid-save, so it will correctly spawn engine parts in existing vehicles. With it being such a huge mod, every part does have in-game information on what they do, but I will of course go through all of that in this video also. Right after I tell you about Heroes of History, which is a 4X strategy game where you build up your own civilization and evolve it through combat, research, and recruiting historical heroes. From Medusa to Einstein, and Hercules to Blackbeard, you have incredible variety to form powerful lineups in battle. And this is what got me hooked the most, unlocking new heroes and trying to figure out the best team setups for each battle. The more characters and abilities you have, the more interesting the potential lineups become. With a color advantage system and many different classes, testing out the combinations to find perfect hero synergy is a blast. A game that mixes city building, hero collecting, and strategy battles all into one system where you can jump in for a few minutes, make progress on your city, and come back later is just great. Oh, and you should totally join my alliance. Just search AWP and you'll find it. Right now, they're running a big ancient Egypt event where you join Cleopatra to defend the Egyptian timeline. Unlock event-limited heroes like Tutankhamun and Nefertiti before eventually facing Anubis. But for that, you'll need a lot of resources, so make sure to use my personal link in the description or scan the QR code and use code AWP to get the Anubis Awakening starter pack, which gives you 10 antimatters, 2000 XP, 20,000 food, and 5 duat keys to help get you started. Big thanks to Heroes of History. Now back to the mod. One cool feature is that open or broken windows will result in wind chill and reduced effectiveness of the heater and air conditioner depending on the vehicle's speed. Also, if the windshield is broken, you will get wet if you drive in the rain. Let's check out the engine on this Beamer. Just inspect it as usual, and then you right click on the engine and inspect, which opens up this menu to access all of the new parts. If we go and hop in the car, you will notice something new, which is this dashboard. And this mod includes 4 new dashboards, with plenty of new dashboard features. You can hold V and actually change the dash, meaning you get to choose which one you like the most. Though if you don't like any of those, you can still use the vanilla dashboard. Though that's a new gauge. To start the cars, you'll need to click and hold the ignition. Starting attempts take more power with a low condition battery and now draw power with every attempt. This first dashboard shows you the engine and radiator temperatures, gas of course, your RPMs, current gear and engine quality, the oil level and quality, speed of course, battery charge and charging rate. Then we have a button for the radio, temperature control, door locks, trunk lock, and headlights. This second one is much more compact, but still having all of the same features. The third one switches it up by adding these switches, which I prefer as I think they're more satisfying than a button. And the last one has this cool column shifter. It's not actually functional, but I like the way it looks. There are some dashboard settings where they can be saved by player, vehicle type, or vehicle. Okay, time for a quick overview. Horsepower, engine quality, and engine condition now depends on the condition of spark plugs, pistons, crankshaft, and cylinder heads. Keep your engine well maintained for maximum power and starting reliability. Transmissions can be swapped between vehicles for different ratios and gear counts. Cooling is affected by many things, such as the condition of radiators, the hood, the water pump and fan belt. Low head gasket condition causes oil and coolant loss. Of course, all of this you want to avoid because overheating quickly damages pistons, the cylinder head, the head gasket, and spark plugs. One of the big things in this is the fact that oil actually matters. Low oil levels, or highly contaminated oil, which is below 30% of fresh engine oil, causes damage to the engine while running. Over time, motor oil will become used motor oil and no longer protect your engine, so make sure to periodically drain some of that oil and check the condition of it. The condition of your oil filter helps reduce how fast oil gets contaminated. Driving without one will result in a total loss of engine oil in just a few seconds. A badly damaged oil pan will also cause oil loss if you run the engine. So as you can tell, this is all very hands-on. And if you have an old, worn engine, you will need extra frequent oil changes and top-ups. The sandbox settings for this mod are very customizable. As you can see, there is many options to change here, including the effect of condition on horsepower, oil leakage, battery recharge, and much more. Then you also have the spawning settings, where you have full control over things like how likely it is to spawn in high, medium, or low condition, the chance of parts being missing depending on condition, survivor vehicle status. You can even remove the wrecked cars that you can't drive and replace them with normal cars, along with the chance of cars in a traffic jam or junkyard being burnt. Though as a beginner mechanic, I won't be touching any of these right now. Before I dive deeper into this mod, there is something important to note. This mod was designed to be used with realistic car physics to fully support all of the different engine and transmission features. So let's check that out real quick. This mod was created by the same person, and like the last one, it can be installed or removed at any time in a saved game. However, this one does require a little manual installation. You can see the instructions on the mod page, and thankfully it's as simple as moving one folder. The latest update to this mod added a bunch of things, such as a engine sound overhaul, with 4 new engine sound sets applied to all vanilla vehicles, so you can hear the roar of the engines come to life with sounds that respond to your throttle. We also have a horsepower and weight overhaul. No longer will all the cars drive just like each other. Each car is given realistic horsepower and weight from the real life car it's based off of. Some cars will drive crazy fast, while others will lumber up to speed. Larger vehicles with more HP will consume more fuel with Project Summer car, while lighter cars will be more fuel efficient. The vehicles now range from 900 to 3,100 kilograms and 70 horsepower to 400 horsepower. Now that is variety. The trunk overhaul means vehicles now have 100 to 1,300 sized trunks, and you can scale that up or down as much as you wish in the sandbox options. The big slow vans have massive storage, while the faster vehicles now have trunks that can at least store a couple of backpacks worth of stuff. Pickup trucks, SUVs and trailers have also been made much bigger. Now, all of those features I just mentioned are all beta options and disabled by default, plus they only support vanilla vehicles for now. But you can try these new options by enabling them in the sandbox menu. I will definitely be checking those out. And as you may expect, the sandbox options are very in-depth, like you can tweak anything here. Those new changes alone would be a good mod, but this is much bigger than that. Vehicle traction for steering, braking and accelerating is now all dynamic and changes depending on road surface, weather, tyre condition and pressure. I really enjoy driving in this game and I like how it feels, but this mod honestly makes it so much better. Once you download this and try it for yourself, you will understand. The vehicle physics have been revamped to solve several vanilla bugs, like heavy vehicle tyres falling through the world and going out of control when driving over zombies and animals. The slowdown impulse from hitting zombies is now fully adjustable in sandbox options, so you can make it as easy or hard as you like to plow through hordes of zombies. One thing I haven't yet tried is manual shifting. By default, it's the up and down arrows. So if I try and take off in 4th gear, that is pretty slow. 1st gear, of course, is much quicker. Alright, 1st gear is absolutely maxed out. This poor car. Switch into 2nd. Oh. 3rd. Manual actually makes it a lot more interesting to drive. Usually I'm pretty zoned out as the cars kind of feel like go-karts, but with manual shifting, there's a lot more to think about because they have accurately simulated 3, 4 and 5 speed auto transmissions with a torque converter and alternate transmissions up to 8 speeds. You can even fine-tune the steering at different speeds. Plus, there's gamepad support for analog throttle, brake and shifting. There is different levels of traction when going off-road, when it rains, and when the ground is covered in snow. Plus, towing is now much easier. Instead of feeling like the wheels are completely locked up, this makes towed vehicles glide behind you with ease, and crash into you if you stop too suddenly. Though you do have to take into account the tyre pressure, as that matters a lot for the towing speed. I love a good drift in this game, and this enhances the tyre skidding noises when burning out, turning hard, and locking up the handbrake with different sounds for on-road versus off-road skids. I love the sound of that. Even the towed vehicle can make skid noises. And the tyres now visually lock up during handbrakes and spin out if losing friction while accelerating. Tyre friction is based on the tyre type and condition, which affects acceleration. The tyres actually matter a lot. Low condition tyres will burn out when you try to accelerate. Full inflation pressure will reduce drag on the road, while low inflation pressure will reduce drag off-road. I genuinely hope the developers take notes from this mod because this is next level. It is kind of annoying having to do a manual installation, but if any mod is worth doing that, this has to be one of them. Especially paired with Project Summer Car, which I will dive back into before showing you some of the other, more optional mods. Let's start out with a few important reminders. Firstly, for a vehicle to be drivable for any length of time, it must be at least 30% filled with motor oil. You can check the quantity and quality by either taking a sample from the oil pan or using the smart oil indicator by hopping into your car and making sure the oil light isn't red before starting. Mousing over the dashboard will also show you. Secondly, keep an eye on your battery indicator. If the battery light turns red whilst running, your alternator is not charging enough. Make sure your fan belt and alternator are in good condition to fix this. If it's red with the engine off, your battery is almost dead. You should also look out for the temperature indicator. If it lights up yellow, you are boiling off coolant. Red means you're doing engine damage from overheating. Simply add water and/or antifreeze to the radiator to improve its cooling capacity and make sure your fan belt and water pump are in good condition. And most importantly, you should try to keep all of the parts above 50% condition or you'll start to experience a serious loss of performance. Let's run through all of the parts. I am in debug mode, so what I'm going to do is turn on the mechanics cheat mode. And what that will let me do is see every part in the inventory right here. And there is a lot of them. I'll explain these parts in groups, which are shown in the Project Summer Car guide, which you can also check out on the mod page. Big shout out to Black Moons. We have the spark plugs, and without them, the car will not start. And we have the cylinder head, the pistons, and the crankshaft. These 4 parts determine your car's horsepower and how easily the car starts. These also have upgraded sport and racing performance variations to further improve your car's horsepower. If any of these are at 0%, your car will not run. Then we have the head gasket, and this seals your engine. If the condition gets too low, your coolant and oil will start mixing with each other and leaking out of the engine. So make sure the condition stays above 25%, and I'll touch on that specific number shortly. Next is the flywheel, which helps smooth out the torque of the motor between pistons firing and is vital to starting and running the engine. Upgraded flywheels are lighter and allow you to rev up and down faster. And we have the starter, a little electric motor which actually starts the car. Moving on to the transmission. This specific one is a 4-speed, and you can chop and change them between cars to get different ratios and gear counts. The final piece here is the torque converter, which typically let automatic cars stay in gear, whereas a manual car will use a clutch, though I don't think that will apply if you switch to manual in-game. Moving on to the accessories, the main one being the fan belt, which drives all of the other accessories, and if it's below 30% condition, all of these will start to work less efficiently. Then is the alternator, which recharges your battery as you drive, and when below 30%, the light will show on your dashboard. The water pump, which moves coolant from the engine to the radiator, keeping it nice and cool. Then we have the power steering pump. Without this, your car will be very slow to steer at low speeds, and it requires ATF fluid to function. The air conditioner, which of course keeps you nice and cool, so all 5 of these accessories are powered by the fan belt, but these 2 are not. The first being the brake booster, which greatly improves your braking ability, and without one, good luck slowing down without crashing. Then we have the heater core, which keeps you nice and warm. It does use the coolant, so it's only effective once the engine has warmed up. The last category is fluids. If you didn't know, motor oil is the lifeblood of the car. It is consumed in engines with poor piston, crank, and cylinder head conditions, and may be contaminated with water if your head gasket fails. But be careful of spillage, because as I mentioned, if the head gasket drops below 25%, the oil will leak. The same goes for the oil pan. This holds the oil in your engine and will also leak when below 25% condition. Then we have the oil filter. This improves the oil's lifespan by filtering out contamination, and without it, the oil will drain very quickly. The last major part is the radiator, which holds most of the coolant. The radiator cools down the engine, and when damaged, will leak the coolant. When coolant is low, it will be much less effective. The coolant is easy to stay on top of, as it does use water or antifreeze. As I mentioned, there are quite a few mods that spice this up, but first I'll quickly touch on the repairs. To repair a part, first remove it from the vehicle, and then right-click it to see the repair menu. This will list all of the defects and available repairs. Some repairs are as simple as cleaning the part with gasoline and a toothbrush, or hammering out a dent, while others require you to replace nuts and bolts, welding, gluing, and much more. Though each time you fail at a repair, it will increase the repair counter and make future repairs harder, as well as lowering the condition of the part. But when you succeed at a repair, it will not increase the repair counter. The final thing to note is that engine parts will always get removed or installed when attempted. How long it takes, your chance of damage, and how much damage will be done depends on your mechanic skill and difficulty of installing or removing that part. XP is given based on the difficulty of the part and the condition of it when you finish installing or removing. Now clearly, this mod alone has so much to it. Like, I need a breather after all of that. However, I've selected 4 mods that complement this very well, not including all of the beautiful car mods. As always, the mod list is in the description. And the first one is very simple. Project Summer Car Better Item Textures. So this is how the items look without the mod, and they already look good in my opinion, but this mod makes them fit the vanilla aesthetic much better. These do look much cleaner. The next mod is an absolute classic, Vanilla Vehicles Animated. The modded cars in this video have had great animations, opening the trunk, doors, the hood, whereas Vanilla has none of those things, and I have no idea why. But this mod executes that perfectly. The interior is questionable, but we move. I do like that it lets you see the character in the car. While the modded cars do it better, it doesn't make sense for the vanilla cars to not have these features, so this one is definitely worth getting, especially with the realistic driving features that are currently just for vanilla vehicles. The next mod we have is TEH Assembly Order for Project Summer Car, and this adds even more realism by enforcing a realistic installation order. No more extracting pistons from a running engine. Oh, and it is possible to assemble things in the wrong way. Forgot to install a gasket or torque converter? Tough luck. It will also hide the condition of hidden engine parts, though once you disassemble and remove certain parts, others will be revealed so you can see their condition. Let's say I want to remove the pistons. First, I will need to remove the cylinder head, but to remove that, I need to take out the spark plugs. So out they come. We can see the condition and remove that now. With that out the way, we can see this condition, but the piston is still blocked by some parts. So let's take out the oil pan, and hopefully we can then see what the pistons are like. There we go, finally. Undrained fluids and liquids will be all over the place when uninstalling the respective container. Moving parts, hot surfaces and hot liquids may be lethal, so make sure to read the warning labels. If I remove this transmission, there is a chance of getting damaged hands, wet and dirty clothes, or getting burnt. This engine is stone cold, so I should be safe from burns. However, this car is smoking hot, but before we remove the transmission, we do need to turn the engine off as it is a moving part. Alright, I just realised that fluid spills and traumas are not supported in this game version just yet, but this screenshot from the mod page shows you what it looks like. And then we have the final mod, TEH Junkyard Mechanics, also made by the previous person. All of the mods in this video are compatible together, but this one specifically is a more realistic car part installation procedure while still keeping it fairly simple. It makes it so the success rate is fixed at 95%. With a significantly increased work time, which is reduced by the mechanics level. The mod page says the following. As a mechanic myself, I found the PZ vanilla lottery approach infuriating. Apprentices may work slower, but if they follow the manual, everything is usually fine. I agree, just take it slow. As you may have noticed there, uninstalled parts are dropped on the floor instantly, which makes sense. You're not going to be pulling out all of these things and just keeping hold of them. And a significant change with this mod is fasteners, meaning part installation now requires consumables. This one just requires nuts and bolts, but those and any other fasteners will be recovered upon uninstallation, unless rusted or broken. Alongside nuts and bolts, which are used almost everywhere, screws are used for articulated windows, and this mod adds heavy-duty bolts for mounting crankshafts and cylinder heads, exhaust clamps for fitting a muffler, lug nuts to attach wheels, and windshield adhesive to glue windshields and rear windows in place. If you made it this far, you must love cars, or you've fallen asleep. Either way, I hope you enjoyed. I will see you in the next one, and peace.